Good morning. I hope it is for you. You didn't get caught in that yesterday. Well, the warning signs were there. Things weren't good. Take a look at a few. Everybody knows about the software debacle that's been going on for a while. You can see the chart right there, which we've been monitoring day to day. Here's the weekly chart, and it's coming down to a very significant support area. And so, what I'm thinking, watching for to see if this hits there, which you see, it's right there. And having fallen from all the way up here to all the way down there in a fluid manner for the most part, there was a little consolidation on the daily there. We're going to see what happens whether it continues, but if it, oh, it charts. Thank you, Dan. Uh, Screen, where is it? That screen two. Okay. Um, Let me go back to the weekly chart. I was pointing out to the fact that this was down here on the significant support area. And you can see this topping pattern that it formed. And this is what we call the void in this time frame, meaning it went up with such momentum. And then this time correction created this void, which opens up the potential, not ultimately that it has to. I've seen plenty of these break down and recover or recoup and start moving up again. But it's relatively rare to fall apart as this did in such a short amount of time and come all the way down there. So now that this has happened and everyone's talking about it, maybe a little bit more down. Usually they push it down a little bit more, and then we'll see if it flips back up if the news begins to change. Um, so we always want to be aware of major support levels in multiple time frames. And we have that there. This is in the spotlight right now. There's the daily chart. There's the breakdown. And so considering that the weekly chart is on that major support level, there's the possibility that this could be a breakdown failure. We won't know until after the fact. Point is, what would create such a shock? Some kind of news, I suppose, on some company. You know, you've got the news related to advanced micro devices. It's sending that soaring and sending NVIDIA lower. So there's a little plus thing still going on as related to AI, but AI, as you've all heard in the news, is killing everything as this evolves. So one thing to keep an eye on to see how this reacts down at that major support level now that it's down there. All right. Markets just continue to be in a trading range. Just and it's going on for a while. So talking about voids, here is one right here. Now it isn't of the size that we saw on the software ETF, because it's just here's the momentum move. It didn't go on for a couple of years. And it was down here, it skyrocketed up and just been whipping back and forth. So resistance, support, major support. Exactly right, Robert. So the greater than 100% retracement concept, I've been talking about that for 30 plus years. And it's an observation of what happens technically when prices retrace like that. They go through a support area and then they bounce. And so we've got many new gurus teaching technical analysis uh, in the last couple of years. I mean, it's always there, and they reinvent certain things, and they call it a liquidity trade. Well, thank you for that nice name. It's about taking out stops, and then you get a counter trend bounce, and it happens intraday, it happens on daily charts, it happens on weekly charts. But that's the idea. Um, now, as an intraday strategy, it's something you could use it for a counter trend trade. But one of the things, I'll see if I can dig up that video by tomorrow. I know it's in the member area where I did a video on counter trend trades. And that was to say, look, everybody puts their stops under support. And let's say, it was along here and we share size it down here. Okay, fine. We don't expect prices to go down there, but there's that possibility. So we have to have that money management part of our plan. So the idea is, look, if something should happen and all of a sudden it starts going down there, you're adhering to your stop, you're waiting. It's like, okay, this thing made a fluid move to get down there. The idea is, hang on there. Odds are you're going to take the loss, but using that concept of a greater than 100% retracement, pull the stop. Or if, most of these software packages, you can just grab something and, drag it down like that, pull it a little bit lower. Now, the idea is we still want to get out because it did something that wasn't expected, but a lot of times it'll bounce. Sell the bounce. That's why after a greater than 100% retracement, looking to sell a bounce or short it has a high probability trade. And same thing, if you went from the bottom of the range to the top of the range and it breaks out, you don't want to buy that. Odds are it's going to stall, it's going to pull back, you buy the pullback. Or if it goes sideways, then you buy a continuation pattern. All right, so today it looks like nothing, not really doing too much here. It's down at the bottom of yesterday's bar, wide range bar, and there's a bearish 180. And so it's at the bottom of the bar. Does it consolidate today or does it go back down? We're going to find out. But notice how here on the day chart, it just consolidated. So unless it can get it at a minimum back above here, right, the 684-ish, which would come back into this little minor void because of the way it came down. I think this is just common sense, would be waiting down here to see if it makes another little plunge down there, maybe takes out the stops, and then we get a counter trend intraday trade. Right now, as you can see, it's at the bottom of the bearish wide range bar. Major support is right hanging below. And unless it can go all the way back up here, odds are, I think it's going back down there. So with us, there's SPX. And so prices are here. You got major support there. The faraway strike is well under 67.50. It's below 6,800. But 6,800 is probably a good possibility today. So maybe if by going under these pivots, this would be where it would make sense to time doing a put spread. And so while we provide where we believe prices are not going today, down below and back up above, if the S&Ps should come all the way down here, violate that low, just like yesterday. Fortunately, I didn't have any data. I had not on this platform. Anybody that using NinjaTrader and using their data feed was out of commission yesterday until the end of the day. It was speculated about the snowstorm, but I don't know. I haven't heard yet. But anyway, wasn't working. So, but I mentioned as prices came down yesterday and took out a low, I was taking out yesterday's low, look for put spreads. And then when it did the retest intraday, you can see that, down here, it was like, okay, that should be a good long trade. This was at the time, the fluid movement down. You get a reversal, consider credit spreads, put spreads. You get a retest and a reversal, scalper long. And then it came up to this pivot high with this pivot up here, I should say, trader pivot line, and it went all the way back down again. All right. So as we always do, we look at other markets to see if they're doing something differently. And so there's the Qs up a little bit. I think gets neutralized. You got AMD up. I don't know, sure what else is up. Maybe just a little bit, but I can see, and you can see where my cursor is in the middle of that bearish wide range bar on the daily time frame. So that's a pretty decent gap up on the Qs. We'll see where it goes from there. It's got room to advance, and this will be really interesting to see if can this advance back into this bar. I mean, overall, this is just whipping back and forth like everything else is after violating these major support levels. And here was the converging moving averages. Came down. There was that Thursday, nasty down day, and it's just been whipsaw price action since then. Let's look at IWM, which is holding up a little bit better, but now it's beginning to form a big wide trading range. It came down yesterday. It doesn't look as bad as the spiders. It is on a pivot low. It largely took that out. It is relatively near the bottom of the range. So another one that's just marking time, doing nothing this morning. There isn't much news coming this morning. There's a couple of Fed guys talking, and there's consumer sentiment, I think, at 10 o'clock. Everybody's waiting for the NVIDIA news, which is tomorrow after the close. So the Dow gave it up. That was holding up. That was the Thursday, the big down day, and it was just chopping around. So now this is coming down toward major support as well. You want to set an alert there, and it is gapping up a marginal amount, not very much. But remember, wide range bars, they're power bars, but I like to call them the weakest link because they create voids. Now, over here was the same story, and it was in an uptrend. It could have went all the way back up again. You can see here, wide range bar down was a stronger uptrend, wide range bar down, and they reverse. Weakest link because there's no overhead resistance. This one chopped sideways. It couldn't close deep into there. And so it resolved itself, obviously, on the news yesterday, the tariff news, and that article about everybody's going to go bankrupt because of AI. That was the short version of it. People won't be paying their mortgages and so on. And that took the financials down yesterday in a significant way. They were already damaged. See this big topping pattern after breaking out and coming back in. Now this is on some major support and violated that, but we'll see if that recovers. It's got a nice end of day base. It's doing nothing here this morning. So here's a wide range bar creating, here's your void. Can it get back above those pivot highs? Set an alert. I'll see what it does. And the damage wasn't just in the big ones. The regionals, which were looking really good as we, over the weekend and Friday, and then they got killed yesterday. So another void. Do they rebuild the next leg down? That's what we'll be looking for today. Here's another software ETF that got killed. There's so many of them just being decimated. Is it oversold yet? I say that jokingly. And you can see some of the damage, breaking down. That actually showed relative strength yesterday by not collapsing with a big wide range bar. You've got Intuit breaking down. That's up pretty big this morning, I guess. So this is what I'm talking about. It's been going down for quite a while. I'm not even sure if it's on support, but the same idea. Look, it's like the index. It's down on support. This is gapping up above the high of the breakdown bar. This is the kind of thing we want to see if this begins to take hold today in some of these software stocks. This could be the beginning of it. We'll see if this can hold on to the gap. All right. And then does it evolve into others that gets the ETF turned around? Thank you, Alex. Alex making me aware of that reported earnings. So there's a news event that has got into it going up, and probably I don't know if the earnings were good or bad. Right? Oh, the earnings are coming in 2 days. Let's just see INTU. Yeah. It is in 2 days, but what's gapping it up this morning? What got it moving like that this morning? It must be some news. So here's Microsoft breaking down. That's not on support yet, and that's not doing much of anything. So we'll see how this evolves. Interest rates down again yesterday. Not such a good sign. Anthropic partnership. Uh-huh. Okay. So they're going to be saved by getting some AI. That's probably a smart thing. Make a partnership versus them trying to invest, who knows how much money. I guess they don't have it or they do it. Let's look at Bitcoin broke down yesterday. And, we talked about this coiling spring. So again, there's no action here. If you're a day trader, maybe you want to day trade this, but you got a pivot low right there. Remember the big bounce off of 60,000 that occurred as it came down there, and that was that big spike up, and got the markets going up after. I think that was the Thursday, and then this bounced overnight, and everything moved up. So does it come down to 55,000? I don't know. We'll see. Right now, this is moving lower. Uh, there's Erythium, same story. We know where the futures are doing. What's gold doing? Uh, a little retracement today. There's the breakout. I was saying yesterday this was the best looking pattern. It's a deep retracement to be coming back in that far, but there's a lot of people, I suppose, holding this. But it's the beginning. So now we'll see where this ends the day. If it's a bottoming tail bar, buy more. And silver looks, a little down day today, but nice bottoming action there. So we'll see how this day shapes up. President speaks tonight. We'll see what comes out there. And then, of course, we go into to see what happens with NVIDIA. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. We're getting towards the tail end of earnings. Yeah, this coin is down with Bitcoin. So we're gonna lower the stop. So yeah, gold alarm. We entered Helga yesterday in AU. We sold a third at the high. This is gapping down. So yeah, I don't know if these are going to be breakout failures. Greg mentioned AMD. We have a put spread open on that. And that was hanging there. And he was on probation. We had the 190s. So now I moved stuff half 5-minute low, half 30-minute low. We'll see what the credit is at the open. I say 5-minute low just to let the spreads tighten. So they're doing a deal with Meta. Yeah, that's a 180. And that's it on my alarms. ENPH. All right, I had a little up alarm there at 48. We did a put spread on that. Looks good. Let's go to earnings. I've deleted a bunch already. Alex, you mentioned this KMB. I like continuation breakout, relative strength, pre-market. Looking at your internals. Yeah. Yeah, another flush lower. Uh, let's ain't up. Alex bought some yesterday. Pull back on the support here in the 200. He's getting paid with the pop pre-market, but wow, it's already retraced $5. I looked as a possible 30-minute high put spread, but that's spready. All right, earnings, hymns. That is just an ugly downtrend. And look how tight this is with no bounce. Now that's a pattern though that you could trade up or down. And now we see on earnings, it's continuation gap breakdown. Looks horrible. Okay, $86. 10-minute low call spread. I like. I'll be watching that. That's a beautiful little short-term topping pattern. Okay, toss 91. No pattern. Bearish 15. Keys 280, maybe call spread, but it's still a bullish gap, bullish trend. We'll come back to it. Venom, that's a grinder. One thing's just grinding higher, so nothing there. That's ever. That's a 1, 2, 3 on volume after a climo. I have an alarm at 1570. I like that. Ideally, it takes out yesterday's high after 10 a.m. Let it bobble around a little bit. Medea 1980. That's a good gap. All right, I'm gonna get rid of IBM. You know, IBM got killed yesterday. Look at that bar on volume. So, you know, maybe day trade long, but it's not ready for a swing or put spread. But DL looks good. Earnings gapper. Let's say BT. Yeah, it looks like it's going to go to the 50, but that's only 1-to-1. So I'm not crazy about it as a swing, but sure, you can day trade the 15-minute there. This would have been a fantastic 1, 2, 3 had it set up that way, but now it's gapping under yesterday's low, so it's a shock, or that's a shock, ugly bar. UCTT 56. It's gapping a support, but it's gapping under 2 bars, so maybe 30-minute low call spread. Mygen was a climo into earnings on volume. The gap's too big though. Like it's gapping above the 20. That's a big gap for a $4 stock. So nothing to do. BWXT 210. We'll come back to it. Was stronger. It's retracing here. $7 already. And all 4 horsemen are retracing here in the last 20 minutes. Olsen call spread 30-minute low. Prim 142. That's a big gap, but to the 50 MA. So I have no idea if buyers are going to step up or push it lower. We'll come back. ARC sold into earnings. Well, They made a bad decision on that. CNNE, that's a closing breakdown and a bearish trend. Bearish 15. So if that opens flat, you could short yesterday's low. IIPR, this is they rent land to the marijuana growers. Gap into resistance, but put spread idea under yesterday's low, I like. Plow, that's exactly what it's been doing, plowing into a power trend. Gap into 45. Nope, it's not a good gap and crap because it's gapping from consolidation. This thing looks horrible, eerie. Look, daily, weekly, monthly look horrible. Eerie indemnity. I wonder fundamentally what's going on with this. Why are they so ugly looking? Home Depot, 388. Put spread, 10, 15-minute high. See how it holds the gap up. BNS. I thought it was when I looked earlier that it was gapping over yesterday's high, but now it's flat. So nothing there. Yeah, PayPal had an igniting bar yesterday. Some rumors of a buyout, is it? But yeah, if we get a 1, 2, 3, then I like that. I checked on put spread, there's no premium. But I'll go ahead, I will set an alarm at 44.50. Be a little 15-minute breakout. This, it was a potential bottoming, but man, yesterday's low call spread. Elon was up, now down 23 and change. It's gapping to the 50 here. So call spread. Planet Fitness 85. That's a big gap. And the monthly can fall more. It's down a lot, but so I don't know what to do with that. Those are all the earnings. Sorry, AMD. You see up nicely. So Micron's up. That's a put spread idea, Micron. TSM put spread. The SMHs put spread. Yeah, these banks. I saw something also that said Visa and MasterCard might get kicked out of Europe. So was that why these credit card companies tanked yesterday? But, a lot of banks were hurt yesterday. IBM SanDisk up 17. That's a put spread idea, but it's too spready. Whirlpool down a lot. Gap in the 7 and 5. Okay, that Whirlpool I like. I have it in the middle chart. That would be a good 30-minute high put spread. Maybe day trade long. So that I like. And those are all my alarms that ever we know about. EEM, emerging markets, is bullish and gapping up to yesterday's high. There's your ANET. All right, so wow, I got 0 alarms going off. Well, let's just chill out. Adia, bottom right. All right, there's my first alarm. Kilo November. Uh-huh. We were watching this last Friday. And then yesterday was an inside bar. Now it's going. So that's not bad. Ideally, it would be. There she goes. Just not going to wait for a 30-minute high, but that's not bad. Kilo November. Apple alarm. Apple's ripping in the FANG department. We did a put spread yesterday. Now we can tighten the stop. Yesterday's low, 263.37. Yeah, I didn't know it was on your list. Good. Let me see where the juice is on our Apple right now. All right, I got a couple of alarms going off. Oh, our Hotel Lima low alarm. Man, that's bigger tracement in gold. And we continue weak at the open here. So we're at 260. Midpoint right now is 34. Check out AMD. AMD, we have the 190. Nvidia pulling in. Apple's the only thing that's ripping here. Everything else is ugly. Hey, Alex, ever EVER early alarm? Oh, you just said triggered. Nice. I didn't see that. Let me look at it. My alarm at 1570 went off. AMD. Man, AMD, I thought would be the premiums are still huge, crazy. Ah, they're keeping them jacked for some reason. Hershey. Yeah, that's good. Here, look at a D on bottom right, so forget about that. Ever. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, I'll just wait a few more minutes because of the let the market simmer down.
You do the
IBM.
Russell above the high of the day. TNA 52, say 52.54 through 50 cents.
Even Sky T. It's that's not bad. Not bad. I wish the 50 wasn't there, but I think it should grind through it. I like this topping tail. I like the closing breakdown. So yeah, that's not bad. Earnings tomorrow afternoon, though. Keep that in mind. Yeah, it looks bad. Hood, coin, Mr.